you deserve so much more than what, the universe is than what you're putting yourself through. The universe is at the minute teaching you wherever you are, the universe is teaching you the things that you need to learn, the things that you need to, the things that you require to move on to the next step. It really is great when we do have those moments of like, oh wow, wow, like the Owen Wilson, oh wow. Can't- those Owen Wilson moments where we understand and we realize, even if it takes a minute to like look back and be like, oh, I understand why, I had to take action in those places. It all comes clearly, when you're on your different. No, I'm kidding. It all becomes clear for you at some point or another of why you had to go through hell to get to where you are. Like it's like the Buddhists, like you have to suffer for enlightenment. It's nice. It's great. It's amazing. Hey guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Crystalline Podcast. We are filming this because it's been a minute. I have not been my best self, so I couldn't like deliver anything for you. It was really lame. We got a new microphone. It's pink. It's cute. I was like, it's kind of cute and small, and I thought maybe I could take this traveling with me because it's so like compact. But we don't have a set yet. A set yet? We just have a living room. So here she is. She's aesthetic. I mean, there's flowers everywhere. Fine. Pink. Perfect. So this episode is all about like self-respect and like empowerment. This. This. I don't know about you, but like I've listened to, you just have moments in your life where you just get knocked over and it sucks. Like I remember like just, I like to have like, like pride. I like to walk, it's so funny, it's stupid. But I'm always humbled and it really annoys me. I'm like, I'm trying to be confident. I'm trying to be a strong, independent, confident woman. And as soon as I thought about that, I slipped in mud and it was like, why am I so humbled all the time? And I mean, it's great. Like, we don't want too much power. I'm kidding. We don't want to see ourselves like, we don't want too much of that. I feel like, um, you got to be humbled. And it's like, I just remembered to mention this. Like, I'm gonna get like a boom stand or something because it's a snack tray holding up my thingy. And this would be good, like, if I was at a desk, but I'm not. And I had boom mics, but they broke. I mean, well, they're mic stands, but they broke. And, like, they would just swing, like, independent. They would just, yeah. So, gosh. So, like, having self respect and, this is all about boundaries and, having the confidence and the power to walk away from situations you just know aren't right for you. And that is such a power in itself. And it's really hard to do sometimes. Like we've all been there where we've had that ex and we're just like, why would you come back? Like it's really um it's yeah, it's yeah. um but yeah, we're gonna mention that. So, self respect is like the cornerstone of healthy relationships and personal growth. It's all about valuing yourself enough to set boundaries and walk away from situations that compromise your well being. Like I said again, um, you've got to set those boundaries and, listen to your instinct, listen to your gut. I know we've got like a big one at the minute. Like Belly is going to get you, but like, listen to your gut. What are your instincts telling you? Um, there will be a time where everyone has this in their life. Everyone faces this challenge in their life, whether it's like dating, friendships, job, relationships. Listen to your instinct. Like when I left my job, I I've mentioned this before, I do have like a video all about that, and it was a toxic job where I was gaslit and I was yeah, I was gaslit and not like I was put to blame, but I feel like I was coerced that I was the one to blame when actually it was a lot deeper than that. And because they were, I don't want to say, because they were CAF workers, they were too stupid to understand the psychology of what was going on. Because I was, I don't want to say that, but well, I'm going to imply it. But like, there were times where I was trying to explain that this behavior that this person is doing is not okay. And I was getting blamed because I didn't like her, because I was biased against something that she did. And I was like, no, her yelling at like my colleagues in front of customers is disgusting. It's like, no, nope. And it was like, it was unnecessary because it was, it was like she was doing it for her own ego, like her own empowerment to be like, because she was insecure, obviously. And then she would be like, I'm just going to yell at you because I can. I was like, I just, no respect, not professional, not someone I can respect and, look up to as like a boss, as like, the higher figure. It was like, it was like, no way, no fucking way. And it's just like a narcissist where she's like doing things to make people hate her. And they're just like, oh, I'm the victim. Oh, everyone hates me. And I'm like, oh no, Sherlock. So yeah, so but I walked away. Is that a long walk for a short glass of water? Is that the saying? Sorry. But I walked away because I knew that this was not for me. This is not okay. I couldn't bring myself to go in the next day. It was like, no, 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 no way, no way in hell. So, so you gotta recognize the signs of like knowing it's time to walk away, and again, listen to the instinct. Like, this can be such a challenging time, but if you don't see the red flags, like, and sometimes people can't see the red flags. I'm gonna tell you a story. I don't know where I've got the story. Ah, yes, it's next. So I'm gonna so don't ever ignore a red flag because it might seem small, simple, it's like, oh, but along the lines, people's behavior can become something else. Like it can snowball, it can avalanche into something. It's like, oh, yeah, it literally is that. It's like, oh, just a snowflake lands on a mountain, and then all of a sudden, it can, escalate into something worse. So you need to recognize the red flags. And sometimes it's really hard. Sometimes if you can also, and this is what I did, I asked for someone else's opinion without saying a word. It was a guy. I don't date much. No, it was a guy, and it's really crucial to pay attention to signs for self-respect. And I'm so glad that I did, and I got to a level where I could just slam the door in his face because toxic relationships, like the dead end job, the harmful environments that you can be in, the signs are like there, if you're willing to see them. So this guy, he he sucked, really. It was boring. And then he didn't like the fact that I called him boring. And it kind of wasn't like in a like oh, you're boring. It was kind of like a playful like you're so boring. you know. But he took that and he turned it round on me. He belittled me. He was condescending and he kind of like escalated. I'm not sure if it's gaslighting, but he kind of like escalated the situation to being worse and tried to make me feel, like this big, like himself. No, himself. Like he tried to make me feel like I was like, I wish I could get them up. I deleted them because he's not worth my time. But he tried to make out like, and I just thought, I was like, this is really unnecessary. It's like, why is he expanding like the conversation? And he did that, and he made me out like I was living in a dream world. It was like, oh, so it's not like, and that's what my sister said because I gave the conversation to my sister, and she read it. I didn't say a thing. I was like, so what do you think of this? She read them, and she was like, he said, he's a capital D, and I was like, yeah, yeah. But that was before I sent it to my other friend who had dealt with people that are toxic and horrible. She's the best. And she recognized that straight away. She recognized the signs straight away. And I also sent them to my other friend who, you know, unless you've dealt with someone that has dealt with the person who is so right, so red flags a lot, you won't notice. You won't see them. And yeah, it's really odd. It's really odd. And she couldn't see them. And I'm like, yeah, they're there. They are there. I could have like gave her the conversation back and then just said like put little red flag emojis all over it. But yeah, if it wasn't for my friends, but I already had the the strength or power or whatever to walk away. I already knew that it's a no from me. Um, but he, but I was like, my friends put it in more context for me, and she was like, I don't like him. I don't like the way he's talking to you, and I was like, yeah. And like, oh my God, yeah, I can see it now. Like, I could see it crystal clear if she hadn't said that. So sometimes it's good to get another person's opinion, but not everyone's opinion will be like, I want to say correct. Like you wouldn't go to one of the rules of gold is like you wouldn't go to a brick maker for advice on gems. Like you wouldn't do it. So you need to talk to someone that has the experience that you need. Because anyone could say anything. Like anyone could put their opinion in. Everyone's got different perspective on things. Um, but so it's really important if you were to go for advice, you'd go to the correct person. But this guy, bro, I wasn't here for it, and he knew it, and he didn't like it, and then he tried to make me feel. And I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. So it's really important that you do have that self respect and self love for yourself because you're just gonna let anyone walk all over you. And yeah, you don't want to get to that stage where you do put people on a pedestal and you do treat them like they are the god themselves. Like, no, because you are the god. You are the goddess, and you don't need anyone, to tell you otherwise. You don't need anyone to. Oh, it's so funny how he tried, and he just got denied even. It's just like that's not gonna work, you prick. Um, yeah. So notice these red flags because they will escalate, and don't let anyone walk all over you. You don't need, you know, you don't need it. It's only you. Again, listen to your gut, listen to your instinct. It's only you that can recognize, like, you know, what's right for you and what's wrong for you. You cannot tell, nobody can tell you that. Nobody could be like, oh, I'm not sure that's right for you. It's like, how do you know? Because I know what's right for me. And that's again, that's self respect. It's probably setting a boundary. I actually don't know. We're going to talk about setting boundaries next, but I actually don't know how to set a boundary. I'm like, am I doing this subconsciously? It's like, I don't know the definition of setting a boundary. I do have. So it's basically about communicating your needs, your needs and limits clearly and assertively. I'm about to do this with my friend. She doesn't know yet, but I'm coming for you. Um, so yeah, so pay attention to these signs. Really pay attention to the signs. They can come at you in weird and crazy ways, but as long as you know that they don't, like align with your values, like if you feel like something's up, like again with this guy, I was like, I was really confused. I was like, why is he like escalating? You know? Yeah, it was like expanding the issue and making it out like it was more than it was just to belittle me. And I'm like, yeah, no. I just called him boring. I was like, yeah, boring. And I'm very like, if I see a spade, I'll call it a spade. So, yeah, he was a spade, a very boring spade. Um, so yeah, trust it into. So also in your inner voice is like nudging us to acknowledge the truth of our circumstance and take action. Did I turn Australian or New Zealand then? Action and preserve our self-respect. So ignoring the signs only prolongs our suffering and diminishes our self-worth. 100%. This happened again in another relationship that I'm going to, or situationship, may I just say, that ended up, and it was really toxic. So yeah, if you find yourself walking around on eggshells, trying not to, and I shouldn't have done this because he would have liked me either way, but I was trying so hard to be something that I thought he would like. And I was wrong because he already liked me anyway for being myself. And it was really odd. I don't know why I got into that thought pattern, but I think it was the eggshell thing. If you find yourself walking around those eggshells, you fucking crush them. You do not need to live your life like that. You fucking crush them. Who cares? It's only you. Why would you change yourself for someone else? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? It's not, it's simply not done. What is that of Cinderella too? It simply isn't done. It simply isn't done. Um, so don't ever do that because I found my self-worth was absolutely crushed because I remember myself beforehand. I remember being the way I am now. I was not taking any poop. I was the best. Had a vision for myself. I did all this, and then I found myself slowly caring more about what he thought and, trying to be really delicate, like treating him quite delicately. And, it brought out the worst in me. And you know what? He still came back anyway. So if he dealt with the worst in me, maybe they're worth it. No, I'm kidding. Um, but yeah, if a guy, I think the Marilyn Monroe said that if you can't handle a girl at her worst, you don't deserve her at the best. But there is a line with that, like you don't want an Amber Heard, you don't want an Amber Heard. So setting boundaries, yeah, like I said, setting boundaries is a powerful act of self-respect. It's about communicating our needs and limits clearly and assertively. And yeah, I am going to do this to my friend because there's been an issue, and I'm like, right, this is me putting my foot down. This is not what I'm going to tolerate. I'm not sure if that's having standards as well. Is that the same thing? I feel like I should have known and done some research on this. So many of us struggle with this concept, feeling like conflict and rejection. Again, I did not set boundaries with this guy, and I was walking on those eggshells, and it was like, no. Oh my, the flashbacks. So yeah, by doing that, you can open yourself to exploration and resentment. Um, don't do it. Crush those eggshells. I swear to God, crush those eggshells. Because if you find yourself walking around eggshells, that place isn't right for you. And it wasn't right. It wasn't right for me. Um, he liked me anyway. What was I doing? Why did I put him on the pedestal? Why did I see him as something way more than me? And again, why did I make myself feel like that? Like, why did I do that? It's so silly. Don't do that. Give yourself the self-respect. Um, do what's right for you, like instinct. What is right for you? Think about it. And it might be hard to walk away. Like for me, it was stupidly hard to walk away. But that again is self-respect. that again is self-respect. You can find some, like, I always think, like, who was I before them, and before they came into my life, I had lived the amount of years that I have lived perfectly fine. It's like, what changed? It's like, it's like you don't need them as much as you think because you've lived your life without them, and you were probably great. You're probably great. You were great, and in reality, you don't need them because you had lived your life before them. You don't need them. You don't need them anyway. Walk away. It's like, in reality, you never really need anything, except yourself and, you know, your mind. And again, you're the gatekeeper of your mind. And if you feel like anyone is torturing it, prodding it with a hot iron stick thing, walk away. If you feel like you're walking on an earthquake in a relationship, it's okay to walk away. Like, I often find, I actually did this recently where I had said something wrong to my sister, and I was like really confused about it. I was so confused about it. But she ended up well, no, actually, I I was so confused. It got to the point where I just like was like, whoa, this is not playing with like my reality of things, but I just think of the circumstances that I was really tired. My brain wasn't quite, when you're tired, you're like zombie-like, and you're like, ugh. That's my zombie impression. Um, and you can't make sense of the world. So I'd said something whilst I was in this state, and I got so confused. And then I went to my friend for like backup, and was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this happened." And she like said that's offensive. And then I'm like, "Wait, what? I'm so confused." So I shut my phone off for like a day and a half, and it was the best day and a half I've ever had. And I often like my bed, not my bed, my phone is actually slid down the side of my bed right now, and I don't care because I'm not as active on my phone as much, and it has changed my life. I'm reading the books that I said, that I have never had time to read because I am, I'm looking on Reels or like TikToks. I've got rid of my phone, and it changes your life, and you just, it's incredible. Like the amount of anxiety that I had after that, I put my phone away and it like went down. And I seem to have lived a simple life after that. Um and now I don't really have my phone on. And sometimes yeah, it's frustrating. And also when I went out for the first time, like a 10-minute drive from my house, I was like, I'm scared because yeah, strangers, I don't know, not strangers, but it's like you just don't feel safe without your phone. Um, but again, it's like I've lived, I grew up in the 90s. We didn't really have phones, like smartphones, and probably we were at our happiest. And sometimes I like look back, I remember watching Notting Hill and I'm like, oh, such a simple time. No phones. Um, yeah, so that's a really healthy thing to do. But that, I guess that's me setting not my boundaries, but trying to make sense of the world. I did this amazing because I was confused. I was like, who am I? That really took me off. And I'll have to give you like a link of something like this form thing that I filled in. Again, using journals, amazing. Mine's gonna be up for sale soon. I'm so happy. Again, subscribe to my newsletter if you want to hear about that. Um, but I'm working so hard. One's already designed and I really should get it out. But anyway, that's a discussion for later. But Yeah, so I actually have no idea. I have a script because I go off like on one, and I'm going off on one, and now I'm like, where the hell am I in my script? Lol. So, yeah, so where was I? Let's have a think. Ding, dong, ding. So yeah, so getting rid of my phone probably was a boundary I'd set for myself. Just to take that time to understand what had happened. I'd obviously upset my sister, and that really awed me. That really shocked me. Um, and I kind of like lost um I kind of like lost touch with reality. Hello? I kind of like lost touch with reality, and I was like, right, I'm done. I'm putting that phone away. I call it in the sock drawer now. Like, I'm like, it's in the sock drawer. Um, if people wonder why I go, or I could put like a little sock emoji on like my WhatsApp or something. Um, yeah, so again, I guess there's a boundary. So yeah, it's essential for, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but it's essential for maintaining healthy relationships, protecting our emotional well-being. Yeah, me putting my phone in the sock drawer is a boundary because I'm protecting my emotional well-being because we do feel really anxious, and it does bug me sometimes where, and I know it sucks with like cyberbullying and stuff, but I'm just like, why are people not switching off? And I know it goes more into that, but if you notice the signs of like bullying in that way, why are people not switching off their phones? Or why are people not, yeah, turning things off? It's like there is a world out there. There has been a world out there for years before a phone. And I just don't understand. And I guess it's probably easier for me because again, I grew up in the 90s. So I understand, what it is to go outside and climb a tree. Um, so I guess I'm okay with that. But, if we're brought up, but this is our life, and we get this attachment to, because that is the way of life for a lot of kids and stuff. But I just don't. I'm just like, I was watching Cobra Kai because I do like karate, and I never watched it, and I didn't realize it was like 5 seasons. It only came out yesterday. Um, and how one of the characters was getting bullied, and I was like, why don't you just switch off your phone? Like, why? I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, putting that phone in the middle. So when we set boundaries, we're not only respecting ourselves, but also teaching others how to respect us. Boom, drop the mic. Bro, that is, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I guess it's like training people, what you expect, like again, with your needs and being assertive with them. You do not have to be horrible to be assertive. I always say it with my friend, it's like because she just bless her heart. She struggles with a little bit with confidence and self-confidence. And I always say, be assertive but kind. You do not have to be horrible. Like I'm about to have a go at my neighbor. Well, not really. I'm going to be assertive but kind because one of her son's friends sat on my car, and I'm like, that's really disrespectful. Don't do that. So I'm about to mention that one. I'm about to be the Karen, channel the Karen. But you don't have to be a Karen. You just have to be assertive and kind. It's like most people get that confused with like being a woman. Um, the B word comes into mind. It's like you do not have to. I believe that, I'm not being sexist, but a lot of weak characters, I'm not even going to be sexist, but I'm just going to say characters. A lot of weak characters, because it can be women as well. With my housemate, she has this at work. She struggles with people understanding her because she's so confident and she's so self-assured. People who, and I've had this as well, like I've had my friend say he doesn't want to talk to me because he's scared of me, and I'm like, why are you scared? And it does happen with people that, I don't want to say weak, but people who aren't at a level of, confidence, self-confidence, then others, they can find you really scary and intimidating. But, you know, you do realize that's a problem that you have, and it's not anything to do with like yourself. It's a problem that they have. They can't, they're at a level where they can't understand you. It's nothing to do with you. Don't ever second guess yourself on being a confident and strong, independent woman because women, because it's not you, it's them. They just can't get on the same level as you. It's like they don't understand what it is to be that person, so it's nothing to do with you. So boundaries empower us to prioritize our needs and values, fostering mutual respect and understanding with our interactions. Again, yeah, they've got to be on that level. They've got to, understand you and find that respect. Don't ever feel like, don't ever feel like you're the problem there, you know? If you want to set a boundary, if you want that self-respect and people don't understand it, it's nothing to do with you, it's to do with them. Will just they'll just be like, oh, she's this, she's that. And it's like, it's not the reality of things. You're setting the boundary. And if they do that, gosh, I think they're toxic and they should go. You don't need people like that in your life. You need people to understand you, to be mature and understand you. You don't need little jizz. The courage to walk away is powerful. Like again, I said with my job, I didn't, I couldn't, like, after the exit interview, which was basically, a nudge for me to be like, go, leave. Um, and I was given options, but no. Like I was given options, but the reality was it's like they wanted me to go. And disgusting. 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 But like it does take a lot of courage um to like let go of like to let go of what no longer serves us. Like even when, it's painful or uncomfortable. With this guy that I really admired. I didn't admire him. Um Gosh, it feels like I really lost a friend there. But I understand why he did it because I was quite mad at the time. But I understand why it was done because like my friend's housemate has a girlfriend that he wanted to break up with, but he didn't do it because like I don't know why he didn't do it, but she started to feel really insecure in the relationship, and it's a man's job to make you feel secure. If you're in an insecure relationship, it either needs work or for you to walk away. And this goes for everything. If you feel like you're walking on an earthquake, then don't walk on it. You need to be walking along a nice, stable, beautiful, smooth path. You don't need to be walking on a cracked, like, earthquakey, unstable ground. Okay, you need to do what's right for yourself. And I kind of like realized what this guy did, not showing me mercy, but it was to walk away, and I understand that it must have been really painful for him to do that because I'm fantastic and I'm amazing and you just look at me. I mean, I'm kidding. It must have been so difficult. But no, it must have been really difficult to, walk away. And if you don't like, if you don't take that into consideration, I certainly didn't. Um, because I was just like, no, you didn't need to do this. Why? Yeah, I was like a bit like that. But it wasn't like, it was the act of mercy, but it was saving me from that insecure state, that depression, like, you know, anxiety. It was like saving me from being upset, I guess, about why we weren't together. So, yeah, I understand that. But yeah. But it was like an act of mercy to walk away. Um, Walking away from bad jobs, good, do it, do it. So it's like, yeah, so it's like a testament to our self-respect and inner strength to do that. It does take a lot of strength to do that and, find the right path to understand that this is the right thing to do. So finding courage to walk away, it does require a lot of self-awareness and self-love. I understood this once, and I can't believe how much of an act of self-love it was to walk away. And I was still on the journey of like personal development and, whatever that is, that the category is. I is kind of the one I have a podcast in. But I used to live in Cornwall and I actually studied there, but then like stayed there. And it wasn't the best for me. It was the bumpy earthquake road for me. I, struggled a lot, um, especially with self-respect and, self-love even. I I had, I was trying everything I could except the right decision. I wasn't like, but it was time. There was a moment, there was like a time for me to go back home. And I did that. I went back home, but then I came back a few months later, and the way I was treated by people and stuff, I remember the next day, like I was treated odd. It was a bit odd. But I remember the next day, I think I must have drank something. I don't know. But I remember walking to a shop to get like some coconut water, I think, or a smoothie, and then I ended up getting coconut water. But I remember this moment, and I remember from the way I was treated the night previously and how things were for me at the time, I remember feeling actually that was a real act of self-respect, of self-love for me to walk away from everything that wasn't serving me because it wasn't serving me. That lifestyle was not serving me. And I realized that. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of like that was a real big eye opener that I remember the feeling, like the taste of the coconut. I, yeah, I was like, that's a real game changer for me. And I realized that, and I felt like I leveled up. I was like, "Ooh, ascend to level up." But it, it was just, it was really weird. That was a real powerful act, and I don't think I'll ever go back to it. Sometimes I do. I have recently got flashbacks, but I feel like when you get flashbacks from your past, I don't believe you're on the right track. I don't believe, you're doing the right thing because if you're in a state where you're looking back in the past, you haven't moved forward in the right direction. And sometimes I've had that, like I've had like a really odd couple of weeks, like I haven't been the best. I haven't got as much done as I wanted to. I had a really slow living, baking banana bread kind of vibe. And I was like, maybe that's just self care and self nurture. Maybe that's just me refueling. But it was mainly because I just didn't feel passionate or motivated, especially about this podcast. I was like, oh, what I'm doing. It was that vibe. But I know this week I'm definitely going to change that. Again, this little microphone changed that. I was like, oh, I just feel so professional, even though it's like a little pill kind of thing. But traveling's sake, I thought it was really cute, and the quality's so much better. Like than what I've put out before. Oh my gosh. So yeah, so it's about like honoring our worth and refusing to settle it's about honoring our worth and refusing to settle for anything that we deserve, less than we deserve, because you deserve so much more than what, the universe is, than what you're putting yourself through. The universe is at the minute teaching you, wherever you are, the universe is teaching you the things that you need to learn, the things that you need to, that the things that you require to move on to the next step. It really is great when we do have those moments of like, oh wow, wow, like the Owen Wilson, oh wow. Can't- those Owen Wilson moments where we understand and we realize, even if it takes a minute to like look back and be like, oh, I understand why, I had to take action in those places. It all comes clearly, when you're on your different. No, I'm kidding. It all becomes clear for you at some point or another of why you had to go through hell to get to where you are. Like it's like the Buddhists, like you have to suffer for enlightenment. It's nice. It's great. It's amazing. So, walking away with self respect allows us to reclaim our power and chart a new course, because we're on a ship, and align with our authentic selves. And again, that's the journey worth embarking on. That, like, when you do look back and you do understand and you do know what you went to go through was a pilgrimage, twas a challenge, but it's all worth it to like learn the new skills that you need. Um, for everything to come together like an amazing puzzle, because puzzles are great. Because I'm old. They're amazing thing to do. Puzzles. Got distracted. They're an amazing, you know, everything like we go through. And sometimes it's like, if you want self-respect, sometimes like the universe or like God or whatever you believe in, I'm not saying it, um, can really show you how, sometimes in the toughest ways. Your journey is your own. Nobody else can have their influence on it. I mean, nobody can have their say. They could probably have an influence on it, but nobody can have a say on your journey in your life, what you're going through. Um, Nobody can judge you unless you give them power to do so. It's like everything, you know, you're responsible for this thing here. You're responsible for, you know, allowing the actions that come from words. So if you don't want anything bad to happen, zip. If you don't want anything, to alter a state of flow that you're in, zip. You're responsible for the actions, that you. It really is okay wherever you are right now. You have the power, to change wherever you are. You can take the action. It's really your responsibility. And I do push that message as much as I can. It's your responsibility to take the action that you need to take. And it can be like a really harsh thing to say in some cases, because it really is your responsibility to do everything you can. Um, I'll use an example of myself when I was driving past my old workplace and I was panicking about like, what have I done? I've walked away. I was panicking and I told myself, I was like, no, um, you don't have to panic because it's your responsibility to take the action that you need. It's your responsibility to ensure that you have safety and security. And that kind of this job gave me definitely financial security, but it was also making me poor at the same time. And that's why I hated it because I was like, I just didn't have time to do everything that I wanted to do um, to make money at the time because I was too tired and it was taking up too much of my time. And that was from being, trying to be my best self in the morning to actually working the shifts and then being exhausted from the shifts. That was my day. Every day that I had work. And I was like, this job is keeping me poor because I don't have time to work on what I want to work on. And again, that's, putting the hammer down on self respect and saying no in that circumstance. But I also told myself it's my responsibility to, ensure that I am secure. Um, it's like, okay, I left that job, get another one. You know, it's up to me to take that action to do that. And again, it's up to you to take whatever action you need to ensure that you're safe and you're secure. And you have the best lifestyle that you could possibly have. You know, you could either sit there and moan and waste your energy and waste your time being in a state of, what's it, stagnant, like energy, or you could take that energy and you could change it and take action and, you know, become responsible for your own path. And I know that's really hard for some people. Like, I've been in those states definitely recently where I've just wanted to cry and I just, let yourself feel like that. You can let yourself feel like that. Like yesterday, I was like on the floor, like meditating, but I felt like, oh, like there was a sadness that I needed to get out, and you can feel like that. Absolutely fine. You don't have to put too much pressure on yourself in one day. Rome was not built in a day. Your life is not going to consist of one day, It's like don't judge your life by a day. Okay, so feel the way you're feeling sometimes, just let it happen. And then you might find that the next day you're not feeling like that, and you get up and you go and you move on. And sometimes you do have to feel like that in that state in order to move on, to notice, to be like, okay, so we're just going to flip it and do the opposite, mental state now because we felt like that and we've let it go. So, yeah, I think it's everything for this episode of the podcast. The Crystalline Podcast. And remember, self respect isn't about how others treat us, it's also about how we treat ourselves. So stay empowered and true to yourself. Okay? So remember to sign up to the newsletter. Guys, we take a podcast every month of the one that has the most views or the highest rate of views. And then we do a live class every single month. So, but you can only find out what they are through the newsletter. So please sign up to that. It's completely free. Do it. So this has been a episode somehow of the Crystalline Podcast, and I've been your host, Summer Clark. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.